Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the weekly list update, where I run through 10 of the albums I have been listening to over the last week or so. Granted that Orso is doing a lot of heavy lifting after the holidays and all that, but I'm back now, brand new year, and this list may or may not have some entries from my best of 2023, but let's just get right into it. Joshua Quimby by Joshua Quimby. Another artist brought to me from the almighty TikTok algorithm, this raspy and folksy guitar player was another step for me into the world of country and country adjacent music, and honestly a great one at that. The vocals sound a bit shaky at the start with how heavy the rasp in his voice is, but it works really well as the project progresses. And while the topics covered aren't necessarily revolutionary, it is a solid project and one I'd recommend. Be sure to drop Joshua Quimby a follow below or on the screen in front of me. New Blue Sun by Andre 3000. The closest way of describing this album is asking Picasso to come out of retirement and he presents a still life painting that'd be a perfect fit in a $35 motel room. It's not what he's known for, and I guess he does do it well enough, but it's honestly not all that great. What is Andre bringing to this ambient experience that other artists aren't doing better? Is an important question to ask. Personally, I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's anything special either. Check out Dimma by Havasmoker if you did like this album and are looking to get a bit more into ambient though. Tank by Riggy Bascom. Blanket by Kevin Abstract. None other than former lead of boy band Brockhampton dropped his first post-Brockhampton project. And Jesus Christ, why is that album cover? Fuck, I don't even know if I could show it on TikTok. It might give some of y'all nightmares or some shit. This indie rock album starts off on the right foot and gets weirder and weirder to a point where I had even lost the plot. It is still a good time though. Mansion Z by Mansion Z. So, I knew the biggest hit from this album, STFU. I never thought to check out the full album until a TikTok talking about the shockingly jarring changes that Mike Posner has gone through. But I've been familiar with Mike and fellow pop crooner Black Bear individually, but never really together. This was a very weird listen. The production in the first half was definitely not what I was expecting, and it does get better later in the project, but this album does have an air of douchebag that doesn't really wear off, and I'm guessing that's going to get worse on Mansion Z2 by Mansion Z. So, I braced for impact on this one because the TikTok mentioned earlier said that this was going to be a rough listen and didn't have much good to say about it, which is saying something compared to the solidly produced but annoying douchebag persona of the last project. I mean, the title of this last song alone truly had me concerned about what the fuck I was walking into. Not gonna lie though, kind of like this one better than the first one. Outside of some truly questionable moments at the beginning and end, this project turns down the douchebag and gets a little bit weirder, and I respect it if nothing else. There are some legitimate bangers on here, but seriously, what the fuck was that dumbass intro and outro about? What the fuck is that outro title? Quaranta by Danny Brown. So I've been anticipating this one for a minute. While Danny Brown did release a stellar collaboration with JPEG Mafia on Scaring the Hoes, the moment Danny hinted at a sequel to my favorite of his albums, Triple X, I became the conductor of the hype train. And, surprisingly, he did pull through with a solid successor to this breakout mixtape. This is a shorter, more raw, and wiser Danny Brown project. And while I would have loved a full album progression like Triple X, this album is the heartfelt turn for the better that the album and Danny deserved. Helplessness Blues, Fleet Foxes. This was my first experience with the band, and one that came very highly recommended according to the Rate Your Music page back when I was doing the Dark Twisted Fantasy dive. I'm not sure why, but I was under the impression this would be more of a rock album, but this is a more folk-oriented listen, which I'm not mad at by any means because I think it's pretty good. It has a lot of otherworldly moments to really lose yourself in the music, and it definitely passed the first listen vibe check. I'm definitely interested to look more into this album as I do more listens. Gratitude by Weezer. I'll be honest, lately I've been listening to a lot of music that I've really enjoyed, and it got me wondering, maybe am I just starting to get a bit softer in my reviews? Am I just not being as critical as I normally am? So I did what I normally do in those situations, which is to listen to a popularly known bad album to test it. Now, since the Red album is core to my very being, I figured it was time to be disappointed with Raditude. And I can confirm, I still have standards. This is pretty shit, but in a pretty mediocre way. But y'all knew that already. I just tortured myself for funsies. Euphoria's Video Club. This was another recommendation from someone I actually know. Holy shit, I have friends in a life. And my first taste of French music in general. This is some synth pop vibes. Everything sounds neon and it sounds gorgeous. Definitely recommend, even if I had no idea what the songs were about. And that'll be it for this week. We'll be back into the new year with new reviews and more deep dives in the future, so be sure to comment your recommendations for either one, and I'll see y'all for the next review. Pieces.